Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Eric Larsen Day, so we're taking a look at the Savage Dragon issue number 44. Gotta say, ever since the Mars Attacks crossover, the Savage Dragon series has really taken quite a turn overall as far as its direction, where it was kind of an urban superhero cop drama. Now we're really fully into sci-fi world. I don't know if Eric Larsen was getting bored of that vibe and just wanted to do something crazier, but he's definitely going out there with these last few issues. So there's a lot going on in this one, so I'll try to explain it as we go through as simply as I can so as not to confuse you. I still feel like these covers here are definitely taking a lot of inspiration, if not directly homaging a lot of covers from the 50s and a lot of those sci-fi stories from back then. I can't pinpoint this cover or last issues, but I really do feel like they're referencing some art from back in the day, either from Frank Frazetta or Wally Wood. Anyone who knows for sure on that, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. But I definitely feel like I've seen these compositions before on 1950s, early 1960s comic books. It's just I don't know exactly which ones he's possibly referencing here. Anyways, let's crack her open, have a look inside. Eric Larsen, creator, writer, penciler, inker. Chris Eliopoulos, letterer. iHawk doing the colors. Nothing's changed there. And throws us back into, if you remember from last issue, there was this, I forget his name, was it Dark Lord or something like that? I've already forgotten the name, but basically he was from an alternate Earth, right? An alternate dimension, and their Earth is slowly dying or was about to die, and he was using kind of a transfer method to transfer their world and their version of Earth onto ours. So what we have here is, if you remember last issue, through a teleportation mishap, Dark Lord, I'm going to call him that, I think that's his name, his body was severed at the midsection, so the top half was left on the other Earth, and this half here made its way to our Earth, and that's all that's left of him. And basically what has happened is that part of that Earth has actually shifted and moved to our Earth and replaced our Earth. So again, the whole sci-fi aspect is really taken over, as opposed to the police kind of superhero drama that the series was for at least the 35 issues, I guess. And that's basically what the character's explaining here. So not much reason to cover the rest of that. I basically explained it. So now we're back on this alternate reality Earth where the dragon is still stuck, right? He's realizing and visually confirming that Rapture has been killed, even though we're just left with a burnt out skeleton. Her earrings are there, telltale signs that possibly that's Rapture. Again, with Eric Larsen, you can be surprised, and that's done on purpose for a plotline to come back later where Rapture actually is alive. But yeah, his friend here, Jennifer, is saying, you still loved her, and he still had feelings for her. We get a quick moment here of the B story where this character here called Aracham is confronted by what I called analogs for the Forever People. And we finally get their names here. They're called the Eternal Youths. So yeah, that just drives home the point that they're definitely copies or analogs of the Forever People, if their costumes didn't clue you into that. So whoever this guy is, the Big Bear equivalent, beats the crap out of Aracham, and Savage Dragon moves on. We get a little bit of a C story here with She Dragon. She's still hearing voices in her head, and kind of strikes out at the cop here and injures him. Again, another plot point here that Dark Lord definitely was an analog for Darkseid, right? If you ever seen Jack Kirby's Fourth World, huge statues of Darkseid all over Apocalypse. So this world definitely mirrors Apocalypse as well, with the continually burning smoke and fires and stuff like that. And basically on this page, Dragon realizes that, since they're on an alternate version of Earth, there's a ship that was discovered in 1992, one of the Martian ships underwater, I believe, in the ocean. So he thinks that there might be a version of that on this alternate Earth here, and he's right, and they find it. And also, he's looking to find Rapture because he figures if this alternate Earth has different versions of everyone, then there must be an alternate version of Rapture as well. This kind of made me laugh, just the silhouette of the nipple. Of course, we've talked about Larsen's nipple fetish. And art-wise, just overall, I still feel like we're in the slightly rushed, rougher kind of Larsen that version of Larsen's artwork, but the compositions are still strong, and you know, the artwork still has just as much of an effect, even though it's not quite as clean and slick as it once was. So this is basically Dragon meeting up with these alternate Earth prostitutes here, again, because Rapture back on his Earth was a prostitute, so he's looking for her amongst the street workers here. And of course, they're not going to be helping him out, right? They think he's a cop or something. So we do get a shot here where, you know, Rapture actually is there, this alternate version, but it's not going to be, you know, following Dragon anywhere. Who is, though, is Debbie Harris. So he finds an alternate version of her, the girl who was killed in the first Savage Dragon miniseries, and she's a hooker as well, and he drags her off before, you know, he has any way of coming into contact with Rapture. So if he can't find Rapture, I guess he's going to grab her, because, you know, the planet is about to explode, right? And that was the whole point of a Dark Lord trying to transfer his world onto our Earth. So Dragon has found someone to save and the means to get off this planet. And basically what he says is they're going to be going to Mars. I'm not quite sure why. I guess there's some sort of transfer machine or something possibly that's going to be able to transfer them back to this alternate Earth. I guess we'll find out a little bit later if that happens or not. And of course, you know, a scene kind of reminiscent almost of the Superman origin, right, where Krypton explodes. I feel like that's kind of an homage to that there a little bit. Back to She-Dragon, right? And she's apologizing to the cop in the hospital here. And that's basically all we get with She-Dragon. So just a bit of sea story and really not much advancement there. Art-wise, again, he's using the screen tones, the parallel line screen tones here. I've seen some throughout the whole issue. So I don't know if Erik Larsen ever stops using the screen tone on these. Dragon was beat up quite a bit in the face, so it's like his face is slowly healing. I guess eventually he won't have these marks and scars anymore. We get a cool pinup here by Chris Sprouse, solid artist, and I gotta say it looks really good. Involving a character we haven't seen in a while, Overlord. I guess he's kind of, you know, if you think back, even across all the years of Savage Dragon being published, you know, one of his more memorable villains, I guess, at least for the early series, is Overlord. So it makes sense to include him here. We get an ad instead of next issue pinup who the artist is going to be. So I don't know. Again, maybe there might not be any. But, you know, the pinup was a staple of Savage Dragon. Every issue, I'm kind of looking forward to it, even if it's an artist I don't quite like or I'm not familiar with. Always curious to see how someone else will interpret the Savage Dragon or some of the Savage Dragon characters. This illustration here, just again, showing how great Erik Larsen is. You know, it's really just a bunch of fast work and fast textures on the trees here. You can tell he's working really fast, and these silhouettes here, some gravestones. But I mean, setting the scene very well and just works, you know, and it's just really, you know, if you kind of isolate it, just some really quick scribbles, but again, very effective and works really well. So they are at Rapture's funeral, and of course, some of the Rapture's prostitute friends are there. And they start flirting with Barbaric, asking him about, you know, the size of his genitals. Not directly, but are other parts as big as the rest of you, right? And, of course, his girlfriend pulls him away, right? I just thought this line was kind of funny. You get the clap just looking at some of them. And then the gentleman there who's from marketing wants to talk to Barbaric more about the toy line that's going to be based on him, right? Back to Dragon here. So they figured out that it's going to take a while, obviously, to get to Mars. The scars have disappeared, and the beard has started to grow in here. So the SOS team, which is basically replacing Youngblood and Image continuity, right, like we talked about in past reviews of the Savage Dragon. Rock here kind of pleading the case that they should keep looking for Dragon, you know, even though it's been months, and the character's like, well, at this point there's not much more we can do, but he suggests that someone can help them out, and boom, we get a shot of Vanguard, character who was introduced way early on in the Savage Dragon series. So he's back. And I will say this, the Vanguard regular series, if you remember, if you've read it, each issue featured a different artist, and Joe Madureira drew one. And I've talked about how sometimes Erik Larsen will work into his designs what other artists have introduced on his characters. For example, Dave Johnson, the way he drew Super Patriot and the way the weapons would change had more of a manga influence. And he definitely incorporated that later on into a Super Patriot interpretation or a Super Patriot character. And with Vanguard, what I feel is that when Madureira drew him in his style, he really gave him a really, really thin, super thin waist. And I feel like he's incorporated that here. And that makes sense too, because he'd already been kind of doing that with Savage Dragon himself and making the shoulders wider and the waist much thinner. So it's not, it's a subtle change, but I definitely feel like here he's taking a little bit of what Joe Madureira was doing with the character and working it into his artwork. Get a little scene of Debbie, once again, the alternate Debbie, talking about she's heard the story of what happened to original Debbie, and now she's like, I want you, Dragon, of course, because every, beautiful woman in the Dragon series is wants to have sex with Savage Dragon, but Savage Dragon refuses. He doesn't want to complicate things. He says it wouldn't be fair to Jennifer, and she's got a very surprised look. So is that to say that maybe Savage Dragon has the hots for Jennifer? There's something going on there. Maybe that's what he's hinting at there. I'm not quite sure. Guess we'll find out in the future. As I've said with Erik Larsen, he's always kind of throwing in little plot devices that'll pay off much later. So here, I thought this was funny. So Barbaric is complaining that his toy is not quite big enough. And it says here, how come my toy is the same size as Stan Levy's Super Leaping Lizards? I'm assuming the Super Leaping Lizards are kind of a dig or an homage, however you want to call it, to the Ninja Turtles. So since none of the other SOS people have given their permission for the toys, they're trying to kind of incorporate Barbaric's toy into that toy line, right? And he's saying, his designs suck and the lizards are tapped, dude. Their ratings blow. I'm carrying their toy line. So I guess by 96, the Ninja Turtles weren't quite as hot as they were in the late 80s, early 90s, right? Their popularity was waning, and that's kind of what they're referring to here, which is all very funny because Erik Larsen actually did take over the Ninja Turtle series at Image for a while, right? He didn't draw it. I don't even know if he wrote it, but it was definitely under the Highbrow Entertainment banner for a little bit there. He did some covers, and he had them guest star in Savage Dragon as well. And we finish off this issue with Freedom and Liberty. Is that their name? I'm not quite sure. I think that's what they're called. Basically, Super Patriot's son and daughter. There's a plot point. I don't know if this happened in the Mars Attacks miniseries or in past issues that I might have missed it. I feel like I didn't miss it. If anyone knows where this plot point actually happened, let me know. But what he's saying here is, you're amazing, Liberty. You're raped by Martians, and because you're so pro-life, you actually carried the baby to its full term, and there he is. So that's an interesting plot point that I'd definitely like to know more about. If you know, let me know in the comments what exactly is going there. Kind of a hot button topic and issue for Larsen to be incorporating into his comic, but he's known for that, I think, all throughout the years. So not shying away from moral questions or political questions or anything like that. And we get a look at, because, you're raped by Martians, it says here, and then we turn the page and we see the baby. I think I'll call him Damien, which makes sense, right? There's if you know anything about, I'm not quite sure what the movie is, but Damien was a child who was born, but who's basically the child of Satan or something like that, right? Or the child of the devil. So it kind of makes sense here. And from what I can tell from the image here, I feel like Dark Lord, I guess, is who raped her and created this child here. And that's where we leave it for today, guys. Of course, we got the long Savage Dragon letter page and some more cartooning that I'm just not very interested in. All right, so there you go, guys. That is my review of the Savage Dragon issue number 44. If you're still watching and you are still subscribed, thank you so much. I really do appreciate your support. If you're watching but you're not subscribed, please like and subscribe below. It really helps the channel out, helps us grow, and it helps us get out there to other people who are into comic books just like we are. So everyone out there, have a great weekend and have an awesome day. King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13. 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.
Like! Subscribe!